Across the city, inside a quiet office at the Metrovale Police Department, the security footage played again. The officer leaned forward, studying the screen carefully. The delivery rider stood across the street, phone raised, typing, taking photos, then leaving quickly. The officer paused the video and zoomed in. The image became clearer. The logo on the delivery bag, the motorcycle number partially visible. The officer called to someone across the room. "Inspector Ramirez, you need to see this." A tall man walked over and folded his arms as he watched the clip. "Where did this come from?" he asked. "A resident sent it in this morning," the officer replied. Ramirez watched silently until the clip ended. Then he asked one question. "Can we identify the rider?" The officer nodded slowly. "We're working on it." Meanwhile, Cola was still on the road. The evening rush had begun. Cars honked. Motorcycles sped past. Orders kept coming in. But Cola couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his chest. Every time he stopped at a traffic light, he looked around. Every time a police car passed, his stomach tightened. "Relax," he whispered to himself. "You're just a delivery rider." But deep down, he knew something had changed. Back at the police station, the officers had already started making calls. One of them contacted several restaurants that use delivery riders. "Do you have a rider named Cola Adebayo?" the officer asked. There was a pause on the phone. "Yes," the restaurant manager replied. "He picks up orders here almost every day." The officer looked at Inspector Ramirez. Ramirez nodded slowly. "Ask what motorcycle he uses." Across town, Cola walked into a familiar restaurant. The cashier greeted him as usual. "Cola, good evening," he smiled. "Busy night?" "Very busy," she laughed. She handed him a large delivery bag. "You're going to Riverside Avenue." Cola nodded and turned to leave. As he stepped outside, two police officers walked into the restaurant. They approached the cashier. "Good evening," one officer said calmly. "We're looking for a delivery rider." The cashier blinked. "Which one?" "Cola Adebayo." The cashier pointed
Good
toward the
evening,
door.
good officer.
"He just
We're looking
left."
for a delivery rider.
The
Which
officers
one?
exchanged a
Kola
quick look.
Adebayo.
"Which direction?" She pointed down the road. "That way." Outside, Cola had just started his motorcycle when he heard sirens somewhere in the distance. He didn't think much of it. Sirens were common in the city. But as he rode down the street, the sound grew louder. Then he saw the flashing lights in his mirror. His heart skipped. The police car wasn't chasing him. Not yet. But something in his gut told him one thing. They were getting closer. Across the city, Inspector Ramirez had already pulled up Cola's basic records. Delivery rider, no criminal history, small apartment, routine work schedule. Ramirez leaned back in his chair. "Interesting," he muttered. One officer asked, "You think he's the one?" Ramirez tapped the screen where the security footage was paused. "Let's find out." That evening, Cola arrived at his apartment building. He parked his motorcycle and climbed the stairs slowly. His body felt heavy. Inside the apartment, he dropped his helmet on the table and sat down. For a long moment, he just stared at his phone. Then it buzzed. A message. "Any issues today?" Cola typed back slowly. "People are starting to notice." The reply came quickly. "Relax, nobody can prove anything." Cola stared at that message. Then he typed one word. "Maybe." Just then there was a knock on the door. Cola froze. Another knock, louder this time. "Cola Adebayo," a voice said from outside. "Police." His heart slammed against his chest. For a moment he didn't move. Another knock echoed through the small apartment. "Cola, open the door." Slowly he stood up. His hands felt cold. He walked toward the door and opened it. Two officers stood outside. Behind them was Inspector Ramirez. "Good evening," Ramirez said calmly. "We'd like to ask you a few questions." Cola forced a small smile. "About what?" Ramirez held up his phone. The security footage played on the screen. Cola saw himself standing across the street, taking photos, typing notes. His stomach dropped. Ramirez looked him directly in the eyes. "Why were you photographing that house?" Cola tried to speak, but no words came out. "May we come in?" Ramirez asked. Cola stepped aside silently. The officers entered the apartment. One of them glanced around the small room. "Simple place," he muttered. Ramirez walked to the table where Cola's phone was lying. "Is this yours?" Cola nodded slowly. "Yes." "Do you mind if we take a look?" Cola hesitated. That hesitation said everything. Ramirez picked up the phone. "Unlock it." Cola swallowed. His fingers trembled slightly as he entered the code. The screen lit up. Ramirez opened the Notes app, and what he saw made the room go silent. A long list of addresses, dozens of them, each with detailed notes. Security guards, cameras, cars, compound sizes. One officer whispered under his breath, "Unbelievable." Ramirez turned the screen toward Cola. "What is this?" Cola looked down at the floor. No answer. Ramirez scrolled further. Then he opened the message thread. Photos of houses, coordinates, updates sent to an unknown contact. The evidence was overwhelming. Ramirez sighed quietly. "So it's true." Cola finally spoke. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I never went inside the houses." Ramirez looked at him. "But you helped the people who did." Cola closed his eyes. For the first time since the officers arrived, his confident mask was gone. "They said it was easy money," he murmured. "No risk." One officer shook his head. "And how many houses were robbed because of your information?" Cola didn't answer. Ramirez placed the phone on the table. "Cola Adebayo," he said calmly. "You're under arrest for aiding organized robbery." The officer stepped forward and placed handcuffs around Cola's wrists. The metallic click echoed through the room. As they escorted him out of the apartment building, several neighbors peeked through their doors. One woman whispered to another, "Isn't that the delivery rider?" Another neighbor nodded slowly. "Yes." Downstairs, Cola glanced once at his motorcycle parked by the wall. The same motorcycle that had taken him all over the city. The same motorcycle that had carried him to dozens of houses. Houses he had secretly marked. Houses that later became crime scenes. Now the ride was over. Inspector Ramirez opened the police car door. Cola sat inside silently. The door shut. And just like that, the man everyone trusted to deliver their dinner had become the man who betrayed their homes. Because sometimes the most dangerous person isn't the one breaking the door at night. Sometimes it's the one who rang the bell earlier that evening, the one holding the food bag, the one everyone trusted without question. And that's exactly how Cola got away with it for so long. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next mystery story. Also, comment below and tell us what you think. Would you have suspected the delivery rider? Or would you have trusted him too?
He doesn't snitch for his
Because
own
the truth
good.
is, sometimes danger arrives quietly, and you might even thank it for the delivery.